What up, where is your boy JusRzd, and today we gotta chop it up about Kaiju number 8, episode 7 and 8. Let's get into it. Do me a favor. Go ahead, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things that you know you're supposed to be doing. Anyway, we on YouTube now. What are you doing? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Like I said, today, spoiler warning on top. We gotta talk about Kaiju number 8, episode 7 and 8. Shout out to the Naruto shirt. But man, I already knew I was gonna be locked in after like episode 3 and 4, but episode 7 and 8 just really kind of proved that point. Yeah, so let's just go right into it. Episode 7 starts right where episode 6 left off, and we got Reno and the red-haired guy pulling up on who we now come to know as Kaiju number 9. And hey, Kaiju number 9 transforms out of his human form into his Kaiju form and just starts going to town on these jokers. Like, they're trying to fight back, they're trying to shoot him, and he's just like, yeah, nah. He ends up shooting the red-haired guy in the heart, or almost in the heart. Almost takes him out and kills him immediately. Then he tries to shoot Reno. Reno's able to remember a conversation he had with Kikuru, and remembers that if he pays attention, he can actually see where he's telegraphing his attack from and be able to dodge it. So he actually dodges his attack initially and just starts going on the offensive. He tries to help the redhead guy out and tells him to go run. I like how they kind of played that parallel, same way Kafka saved Reno in the beginning from the kaiju that they were running from and told him to run. And of course, Reno's trying to go ham. He has these new bullet types, this new ammunition that freezes on contact. So he's shooting Kaiju number 9 with the bullet, going crazy. Kaiju number 9 covers himself with some with some dead corpses of kaiju, and then pops back out and is about to pretty much slaughter Reno. Before he can actually get an opportunity to slaughter him, the red-haired guy that actually ran away, you see him going through the inner monologue in his head like, man, I don't want to be this weak, and I'm stuck at this cap and blah 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 blah. But Reno, he's just going past me, and I just can't refuse. It's like I refuse to give up in this moment. You know the typical anime inner monologue. So he has one of those inner monologues, and before Reno can get destroyed by Kaiju number 9, the redhead guy comes back and pretty much saves Reno from being attacked at that moment. And unfortunately, that save only bought them a few seconds, and then Kaiju number 9 just started going to work against them again and ended up catching Reno off guard. And yeah, before he caught him off guard again, the red-haired guy actually pulled out some special ammunition of his own. He had like some electro rounds or whatever, and was able to like stun Kaiju number 9 a little bit. And Kaiju number 9 wasn't here for it. And once he adapted a little bit, that's the one thing I'm actually liking about Kaiju number 9, is that he's learning in every fight. And every time he comes on the screen, he's learning, and he's taking samples from the dead kaiju. He's observing his surroundings. He's observing how the military defense force fights against the kaiju and the different techniques and abilities that they have. And so it's actually really interesting to see him as a villain, because he's actually like adapting to the situation as it's occurring in the moment. So they're going ham, trying to attack them. They're really no match for Kaiju number 9, and Kaiju number 9 ends up catching Reno off guard and pretty much does him the same way he did Kikuru. And man, had my boy Reno down bad, boy. Shot him all the way up. Had him looking like Cleo from Set It Off. Like, shot him all the way up. And of course, the red-haired guy, once he shoots up Reno, he's just like, well, I can take him back. I can take Reno back as a specimen and study him. And he was just like, well, since I'm taking him back, I don't need 2 bodies, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill the red-haired guy. So he proceeds to go ahead and kill the red-haired guy. The red-haired guy tries to pick up a gun, tries to pick up Reno's gun and shoot him, just to realize that Kaiju number 9 actually has broken Reno's gun. So he actually can't shoot him. So at this point, he's kind of giving up all hope, as typical anime trope. He's giving up all hope. And right before Kaiju number 9 shoots the finishing blow, of course, my man Kafka, Kaiju number 8, pops up behind him and pretty much goes ham on Kaiju number 9. One punch separates his head from his shoulders. sends his head and his body flying at the same time, to the point where Kaiju number 9 didn't even know what happened. He didn't even know what happened. He was just sitting there. He was like, why is my torso in the air flying? Why am I seeing my torso behind me? He was like, oh, because he separated my head from my body. Gotcha. That's what just happened. I was saying, like, his commentary, Kaiju number 9's commentary to the fight is hilarious, because he's literally learning as he's going and just observing everything that's transpiring. And he's able to, as Kaiju number 8 is making sure Reno and the red hair guy are good and off to the side and out the way, Kaiju number 9 is able to put his head back to his body and heal himself. And they just have a little brief dialogue. Kaiju number 9 tries to shoot Kaiju number 8, and he realizes he can't really penetrate his skin for real, with the amount of force that he was using against the humans, because Kaiju number 8 is a Daikaiju. So he tries to pull out an even greater attack, and before he can even pull that attack off, he pulls that attack off, Kafka is able to counter that attack, and then Kafka just starts going crazy on this man. Like, he just starts going crazy on this man. He's trying to block, he's trying to dodge. None of it's working. Kafka is going ham on Kaiju number 9, like to the point where he pretty much obliterates Kaiju number 9 across the city, and ends up exposing, beating him up so bad that his healing factor isn't working just yet. Like, he's hitting him so fast that his healing ability is not able to kick in, and he's exposing his core at the same time. And Kaiju number 9 has never been beat up like this, so he's like, yo, what is happening? And of course, Kafka pulls up on him, and is prepared to land the finishing blow, because his core is exposed now. He can't move, he can't heal, and unfortunately, at this particular time, that's when the defense force, 2 soldiers from the defense force, want to show up. And of course, Kafka, being a part of the defense force and not wanting to be caught, he's kind of nervous, because they're reporting the fact that they see 2 Daikaiju, and pretty much giving them their location so that way they can bring in reinforcements and try to see if they can capture him. And so Kafka's like, oh shoot, I can't do anything with this. And at that time, as he's distracted, Kaiju number 9 runs away to heal. He goes and heals, and then comes back, and he was just like, okay, I kind of see how you operate now, so I'll be able to kill you the next time we fight. And I see that your movements are a little interesting for a kaiju. So I don't know who you are or what you are, but I see that they're different than most kaiju. And so he ends up shooting at the military defense force soldiers, and Kafka ends up blocking it. And then as he blocks it, Kaiju number 9 disappears, fades into the distance, and says he'll see him again. And Kafka, realizing what's happened, realizing he just lost Kaiju number 9, and realizes that he has to get away from the military defense force, he ends up creating a smoke screen, punching the ground, and ends up jumping way across the city, lands in this alley, and is about to pretty much transform back into Kafka. Then he senses something in the back behind him, and he realizes what he senses is actually Vice Captain in the alley, standing behind him, preparing to attack. And that's how episode 7 ends. And with episode 8, of course, it picks up right where episode 7 left off, and the Vice Captain starts going to town on Kafka. I mean, start giving him hands galore. Put the paws on him. You feel me? He started putting the paws on. I mean, going ham. So the Vice Captain's special ability is so, like, his special technique and ability is he uses swords instead of guns like everybody else. He's not really good and adept with using guns. His aptitude isn't that high. But with using swords, because of his clan and their special techniques with swords, he specializes in sword play. So he is going crazy on Kafka. Kafka, he doesn't, of course, want to fight back because that's his vice captain and he doesn't want to hurt him. He's like, I can't go as hard as I would normally go against Kaiju because I don't want to kill him. But at the same time, this dude ain't playing. Like, if I don't take this seriously, I'm gonna die. So Kafka realizes that off top. And the vice captain, as he's fighting him, he's realizing that he's fighting more humanly than he's fighting as like a beast or a kaiju. Like, beasts and kaiju have different type of fighting styles compared to how human Kaiju number 8 is fighting. So at this point, he doesn't know that it's Kafka. So it's just like he's trying to fight him. He's trying to slice him up. Kafka's dodging. Kafka's blocking. He ends up cutting Kaiju number 8 open to the point where you can see his core. He ends up cutting his arm, cutting his leg, using feints, using dodges, and just cutting him up. He releases his potential to 92%. And he's just giving Kaiju number 8 everything he's got. And then he tries to catch Kafka off guard. Kafka's able to counter the move that he tried to catch him off guard with, and ends up unleashing a brutal punch. But instead of trying to actually punch the vice captain, he was genuinely just punching the blade. Ends up hitting his blade, which causes a huge smoke screen. And then Kafka ends up running away as the vice captain does like a triple backflip to separate and give himself some distance so he didn't get hit by the punch. But man, that whole fight scene was crazy. It was super dope. And so episode 8 kind of ends. I mean, not ends, but that fight particularly ends with vice captain just kind of thinking to himself like, that was an odd fight. He didn't fight as Kaiju number 8 doesn't fight as normal kaiju fight. And I don't know if that's his first Dai Kaiju that he's fought, but he's just pretty much taking it all in and just reflecting on the different battles that they've seen, the aftermath of when it comes to Kaiju number 8 making an appearance. And Kafka was able to get away. He makes it back to Kikudu, and they end up checking on Reno and the red-haired guy, and they end up making sure that everybody's taken care of. The mission's over. They cleared the field of all the kaiju, and so now they're back in the barracks debriefing and having like a team celebratory feast because it's their first mission. They ended up being successful, and so now they're all celebrating. They're all talking and interacting with one another, talking junk, drinking, all that stuff. Just having a good old time. Just having a good old time and celebrating. And we see through these flashes of the group just having a good time together and building. We see Kafka in the office of Mina, and Mina has now officially inducted him as an officer. He went from a cadet to now being an officer in the actual military defense force, just based on the knowledge and information that he provided. In their first mission, the vice captain suggested that we actually make him an official officer, so they did that. And Mina hints at the fact that she remembers the promise that they made to one another, and she just tells them like, look, you got a long way to go, so keep up the good work, and don't let the vice captain or me down. And so Kafka just takes that as encouragement. He's just like, you're right, I won't let y'all down. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep pursuing what y'all got for me. And it just continues to move forward. And then we cut to Kaiju number 9, and he's in his human form, kind of walking towards a tunnel, and then we see somebody's driving a car behind him, just some random civilian, and he's trying to check on him to make sure he's okay. Kaiju number 9 ends up devouring that man and end up becoming that man, and ends up getting in his car and driving away. And then it cuts to just pretty much Kafka studying in the study hall, and he's just spending time. He realizes it's late, so he's like, you know what, I might as well go to sleep now. So he turns off the lights in the study halls, walking back to his dorm. He notices the lights in the training room are still on, so he goes and checks to go turn off the lights. He's like, maybe somebody just left the lights on or whatever. So he goes, turns the lights off. As he's about to turn the lights off, he realizes somebody's actually in there. Lo and behold, it's the vice captain, who's kind of like doing visual mental training and like kind of shadow boxing and recapping the fight that he had with Kafka, not realizing that was Kafka. So the fight that he had with Kaiju number 8, he's like doing like mental imagery training and just recalling the fight and just going against doing different techniques to see what will work, what would have worked, what he did, pretty much to try to see where he went wrong and where he could do better. And so him and Kafka end up having a conversation once he's done training, and then they both end up going to sleep. And then the camera pans from the military defense force all the way up through the clouds and the skies, and we see that there's another kaiju, this armored out red kaiju, on top of some flying kaiju, and it's like a army of flying kaiju. And the armored up red kaiju pretty much says descend, and it looks like they're getting ready to attack the military defense force. And that is the end of episode 8. And I ain't gonna hold you, the episode 7 and episode 8, like I said, I was already locked in after episode 3 and 4, but episode 7 and episode 8, bravo guys. Bravo, round of applause. That, hey, them fights were fire. Like I said, I love the animation style of Kaiju number 8 because it's very playful. When everything's chill, when everything's good, it's very playful. It's very reminiscent of like One Punch Man style almost. How it's playful when it's playful and when it's chill, but when it's time to turn up and we scrapping and we fighting, the animation style gets super serious. And I love that about Kaiju number 8. I love the humor in it. I love the fighting. I loved Kaiju number 9's incidental humor. While he was getting beat up, and even while he was beating up Reno and the red hair guy, it was just funny because, like I said, he's learning and adapting on the fly. So it was just funny to hear his takes as he's fighting against these guys and winning and losing. So it was just funny to experience that. And I'm not gonna hold you, I'm locked in on Kaiju number 8. I heard season 1 only has 12 episodes, so I'm excited to see where we're gonna get to by episode 12. And just to see how Kafka's character development is going to grow up into episode 12, and just to see where the story is going to be at. Like, I'm super interested. I'm locked in. So far, not going to hold you, I got this in my top 3 so far of 2024 animes. Right now, it's Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. It's, what is it? Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. It's, Kaiju number 8 and Solo Leveling are my top 3 right now for 2024 anime. But I'll probably do a separate video on that probably soon sometime. But as far as the ratings for episode 7 and episode 8, I'll probably give episode 7, I want to give it like a 8.5 because it was really good. And episode 8, I'm gonna give that a 9, just because I like what they did with that. I like how they showed the vice captain's offensive abilities and just showed his release form, and just, man, it was just a dope fight. It was dope seeing Kaiju number 9 analyzing the battlefield and analyzing how everything was taking place. It was just a dope experience to just sit and watch and just see how everybody developed, to see how the rookies stood out against the veterans, then see how the veterans came in to support the rookies during their first mission, how they all celebrated at the end. And just built that camaraderie. It was just a dope experience on their first mission. So that's my rating for episode 7 and 8. We got episode 7 with a 8.5, and we got episode 8 with a 9. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with the rating, if you have any thoughts towards Kaiju number 8, if you've watched it yet, if you haven't watched it yet. Well, if you haven't watched it, that's interesting that you already on this part of the review. But if you have watched it or haven't watched it, definitely put it on your list. to watch it, because it's actually really dope. But let me know your thoughts. Let's chop it up in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, man. We're slowly growing. We're steadily growing. We're going to be doing more reviews, more music drops, more music reviews, video game reviews. We're turning it up. I'm gonna have some different topics we can talk about when it comes to like MCU type stuff and anime type stuff. But tap in with your boy. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I drop a new video. And don't forget, it's free soul to the show free. Let's get it.